Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some!
What's going on, fellas? My name is Rafael Chacinas, no es el Capitán Rafucho, and my co-host, Science Center, because this is the Combat Club, because this is a podcast with 100% attitude, because in this club, we're born to fight anytime, anywhere, anyone, because tonight, we're going to bring the recap of the UFC 318, ladies and gentlemen. And to be honest, right now, I just wanted to say thank you very much for all much love and respect. And of course, thank you for the most viewed live stream that I just got for the UFC 318 between Max Crosby versus Dustin Poirier. Almost 600 viewers and more than 12 likes. So I just wanted to tell you, what are you waiting for? Hit the like button, subscribe, and of course, this fight, between Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier for the BMF title, that was like really shock. That blow up those mines in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah, beautiful fights on Saturday night, and welcome you guys to a recap episode. This is our first official recap episode on the Combat Club. We're gonna do weekly episodes, but we're also gonna do recap episodes either on Monday or on a Tuesday. Absolutely banger type of record, and thank you guys absolutely for showing Rafael some love on his live stream. You know, when he can, he does like to go call the fights live, so you guys go make sure you give him love on the next one. But yeah, super excited fight cord. Like the cord distorted, but 6 straight finishes. I believe 5 of the 6 was in the first round. Super excited, fun night of fights to get to, and we have a still remaining the BMF championship in Max Holloway, and what a way to go out! It was really UFC's love letter to Dustin Poirier, and I really love the fact that we got to enjoy his fighting career as fans, and I love the fact that he did go out still looking like he's in the best shape of his fighting career, and still looking that he can hang with the big boys in the division. I love it when a person wants to retire on their own will, and they don't let the sport retire them. So super excited to talk combat sports on the Combat Club. Let's get it.
Yeah, let's get it right now. So we got all results when it comes to the main card. And to be honest, right now, to the main card, that was like really impressive, but also there was like a shocking surprises. But whatever it takes, or like the preliminary cards and of course the early preliminaries, because I really thought that they have a lot of knockdowns, submissions, but between for like all this happened, for the main card, it was like really impressive at all. So first and foremost, well, we just gotta look at some decisions coming up there. So we got the fight that we gotta to talk about it, which is like really impressive, which is Daniel Silhuber versus Michael Johnson. Now, for Michael Johnson, I thought that this is gonna be handled because it's gonna be like an easy one. But Daniel Silhuber, he just became one of the worst performers that I ever seen in my whole life. Because I understand that Daniel Silhuber, he was like dropping leg kicks and everything and everywhere, but it seems like his game plan, it's not that real good. Not that real good. So Michael Johnson proved that his age, he's still on this prime. Because whatever it takes, it happens at all. Because after Daniel Silhuber take takedowns and of course the leg kicks, dude, they're not working at all. So Michael Johnson just put in the hand, and this is a reminder that some dudes with the old age, that's called, don't call me old, because right now he is a veteran with great experience, and he really show up to the world who's the man right now. Yep. That was like the it. I mean, to be honest, right now, I mean, I was really thought that this could have happened a lot, but it's happening. It's happening
Sorry about that.
because what did I just say? Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, great take on Daniel. You
Mm-hmm.
know, one thing about it is, I was really high on this kid coming in because of his confidence. And one thing, it's almost as if like I kind of wish he wasn't distracted and he didn't have that cockiness about him. There's one thing if you come in with confidence, and he certainly had the skills to put someone like Michael Johnson away. But it just looked like he was overlooking Michael Johnson. And it doesn't matter what your record is. We just talked about Michael Johnson's record being 23 wins and 19
Exactly.
losses. But when it comes to the UFC, it's almost as if like you gotta respect it. It's any given Sunday, right? You can get the shittiest team in the league coming against the Bengals, going against the Chiefs or the Eagles, right? Some of these top tier teams, and
Exactly.
it's almost as if like any given Sunday, and it ties right back into MMA. Just because you think that you're gonna look over this guy and you're gonna run right through this guy, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. We've seen people get humbled time after time after time after time again. We just seen an undefeated fighter get humbled in Tennessee against Derek Lewis. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
Michael Johnson just being the veteran here and just making a statement to Daniel saying, "Hey, buddy, like yeah, you're good, but I'm still around." And I think I think this is good for Daniel. This is good for Daniel because he's early on in his UFC career. He only has 3 losses. Yes, yes, it's never good going and losing against a name like Michael Johnson. But there's a lot of great fighters that lost against Michael Johnson that came back. Michael Johnson has a win against Dustin Poirier. Look how Dustin Poirier's career ended up, right? So I don't think this is the end of Daniel Zahulbar. I just think that he needs to,
Mm-hmm.
he needs to respect his opponents because anybody standing across the cage in that octagon should grant it your respect, and you never should be looking over your opponent. There was times where he basically appreciate that Hunter. He basically overlooked Michael Johnson, and there's times Michael Johnson clipped him in the fight. So that being said, though, never overlook your opponent, especially in the UFC, because it takes a lot to stand in there and swing against the best fighters in the world. And Michael Johnson still shows you guys that he is the best fighter in the world. We got Dan Ige going against Pitbull. Man, Pitbull looked good in this fight. Utilized his wrestling, had a
Yes.
bunch of takedowns, utilized his striking. We got to see, a lot of people was like, yo, I don't understand why this guy gets the hype, and then he hits you, and then he fucking follows in, tries to finish you, and that's why. That's why Pitbull is one of the top featherweights in the world. And I honestly think that Dan Ige he should have took the Daniel approach here. What I mean by that is I think Dan Ige had too much respect for him. And sometimes it's one thing to have respect for your opponent, but when you have too much respect for your opponent, it's almost as if like you lose the fight before you even throw a punch. A lot of the times Michael, not Michael Bisping, I'm sorry. A lot of times Anderson Silva, a
Oh
lot of times
yes.
Conor McGregor, a lot of the times GSP, they would beat their opponents before even stepping foot in the octagon due to the aura that they give off, right? And I just kind of feel like if Dan Ige went in there, as I think of what Joshua Van said a couple of pay-per-views ago. Joshua Van said, Kai Kara fans had too much respect for Pantoja. When I go in there, I'm not going to have respect for Pantoja. Max Holloway said the same thing about Jose Aldo. Ilya said the same thing about Max Holloway. So it's almost as if like when you got to look at your idols and your idols become your rivals. And when you have to speak about Ilya, because Ilya is a perfect example. Ilya grew up idolizing Max Holloway, grew up watching Volkanovski. And for him, I grew up in love with Charles Oliveira. And for him to just be like, yo, I respect you guys, but I'm not gonna let you guys psych me out. I just think Dan Ige went out there and he fought a good fight, but I just think he had too much respect for Pitbull, and that's almost what cost him the match. I kind of wish that Dan Ige would have looked at him like, you're not gonna come into the UFC. This is a big time. I wish Dan Ige would have fought for the banner, man. It's not like Pitbull doesn't deserve to be inside the organization, but we see so much times where other motherfuckers come over from Bellator or from PFL or from another organization, and the UFC fighters are like, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm gonna represent the UFC," and I kind of feel with that Ige, he was kind of too respectful against Pitbull. That's just my thoughts, though. Go right ahead, Raphael.
Yep. And speaking about Patricio Pitbull versus Dan Naked, I mean, physically with Patricio Pitbull, I mean, he was like on point. I mean, he literally has never been in better shape in his life. I mean, however, those HFS beat the Quakers because he was notable slower than he was just like 5 years ago. And this is practically like the prime Pitbull was like, obviously, he was really faster and a little bit more of the output back then in the Karate Pit, where there's always been like a low put counter striker. And he used to be really different. That he was very young before adopting the Karate Machida style because he was a karate striker with a power slider at 150% compared to the rest of them. Because once he lost to McKee, he slowed down significantly. But if it comes to like, he did even worse in different positions. Yep, because he had blasted with Chandler when Chandler was trying to fight a smart jab or work at a jab. I mean, he didn't go to like even go to fight to start it. I mean, if respect the power counter strikely, which probably the smart, considerably the second round, but he can imagine anyone that's dying to see like a more pitbull fights after that because they both respect the other's power too much. Which is totally fair because they can both switch your lights up really easily because it was like a great fight with a completely striker, but that was like imagine this one because between for like Patricia Pitbull versus Dan Nick, everybody thought it was gonna be this is gonna be like a really lame, but for me it was like perfection for me because they both at work on strike and of course on the clinch, but it comes around the ground because they know what about like the clinch coming up there at the second, third round because considerably he was on this prime. Because I understand he's a veteran in Bellator in every leagues because I love to see like finding a lot of success.
I'm really interested to see what happens with the featherweight division now. I mean, like we got Mozor that is deserving of a title shot, but obviously he had a co-main event lined up, but he recently just got injured. So I don't know if that delays him again. I mean, like he's 19-0. I know Alexander is calling him out the champion. He really wants to fight him, but Pitbull being 38, I honestly say he wins one more fight. He's fighting right up there for the championship. I'm not saying Dana privilege, but I'm just saying Dana will reward him if he goes out there and he beats another top name contender just because of his age and where the division is currently on stagnant right now. I know we have that youngin coming over that was supposed to fight Morzor. I mean, like I would love to see what Pitbull has next on his horizon, but being that he is 38 and being that he did go out there and beat a big name like Dan Ige, and shout out to Dan Ige. I mean, like, talk about someone who never really got rewarded, right? He shows up on 4 hours' notice to fight Diego, and he's all like, "All I want is a spear," and they don't give him the spear. They say, "Thank you, Ige. We'll give you Murphy next. We'll give you Leon Murphy next." So not only does Dan Ige fight Leon Murphy, but he also comes out and like, "Okay, yeah, you didn't beat Leon Murphy, but we'll give you Pitbull next." So that's the UFC really showing Dan Ige. Like if you go look at Dan Ige's last top 10 opponents, I mean, like the resume speaks volume, and his strength of schedule is there. But he's showing that you gotta beat these names. You can't be the gatekeeper in the division, Dan. You can't be like a Josh Emmett. When it comes to really big names, you just lose. Nothing against Josh Emmett, but I mean, like you could easily not easily you could have won against that Diego Lopez fight. Obviously, that didn't happen. Leon Murphy is just on the next level. It's Leon Murphy. And then Pitbull.
Yeah.
Pitbull was an easier fight, but than Murphy, but he didn't get it done. And I just don't see where that puts him in his UFC career. I mean, like I think Dan Ige is still a legend of the on not a legend on a path to become legend. But I don't see Danny. I don't see a title opportunity in the near future for Danny Ige. I just think he's gonna be going out one of those fighters like a Cowboy Simone, just like a fan favorite that's gonna go in there and that's gonna brawl, and that's why I kind of put him in the UFC brass. He's not a contender. He's not a prospect. Obviously, he's just a proven veteran that's just gonna go out there and just gonna deliver. I mean, Pitbull, I think, he wins a couple of fights. He might be fast tracked to a UFC fight. title fight just based off of his age. And I think Alexander would love the opportunity to fight a pit bull. There's another champion
Exactly.
that reigned in another organization for many years. I mean, like, Raphael just brought up AJ McKee beating him, but AJ's him. You know what I'm saying? And AJ was much more younger. Speaking of a proven veteran, a guy that we were just talking about that doesn't get that much respect. Is Daniel Rodriguez, man. It's a true motherfucker right here, man. And to go and to see him do what he did against Kevin Holland, I was absolutely impressed. And I overlooked him as well. I had Kevin Holland in probably like 70% of my DraftKings lineups, and that didn't serve me too good. But shout out to Daniel Rodriguez. And one thing I did notice in this fight, I'm not going to talk about the full fight. I'm not going to break it down. I'm going to let Raphael do that part of it. But I'm just going to say this, like, no
Mhm.
talking. No talking for Kevin Holland, straight serious mode. And Daniel did give an interview after the fight with Dan Haley, and he's all like, you know, that's what happens when a fake gangster runs into a real gangster. And I just love the fact that he said that because, this guy has literally over 100 fights in jail, and literally lived a tough life, got himself turned around, became a cage fighter in the best organization on the planet. Daniel Rodriguez, man. Shout out to D Wad, bro. Definitely looking and excited to see what the future has in hold for him. A lot of people don't know him. That he's on a 3-fight streak, a loss streak, and then scared a bunch of losses, 3-fight scared, and then now he's on a 3-fight streak. So to turn around and go out there and to do it against someone like Kevin Holland, obviously he didn't get the knockout like he wanted, but he beat him. And I just feel like I can't wait to see what the future lies for D-Wad. Go right ahead, Raphael.
Yeah, talking about Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez, because at first I did not expect what Daniel Rodriguez was doing this. Her
Mm-hmm.
Holland that badly, the uppercut, the drop did not look that really hard because it was crazy. It
Mm-hmm.
was too enough to drop. And that was just like in the first round, that was like very simple, very traditional. But in the round number two and number three, that was like the craziest ever. I mean, that was like a great fight, and he really did a good job of making Hollins uncomfortable in drawing volumes. Because for that one, for that shot that I just went and said, that was like a clean shot to Kevin Hollins' shin. That was like the unforgettable moment that he know about the game plan to break the Kevin Holland's chin, and he know he stayed with the fight. They almost got it the round number three, because I love that Holland charging like at a jumping knee, just like 3 seconds with zero damage, and I love that. I mean, they left every single dribble of the gas out before they tangled this fight, but he was like really on point. I mean, both of the seconds for finish each other, but why Holland is gonna have to jump knees where he really sauced it and they got hurt. But between for about that, I understand that Daniel Rodriguez, he grew up in the streets. And the only thing to get out of the streets is practicing boxing, wrestling, and of course, he was very interesting for the mission martial arts. Because some people, whether they come from the jail, they want to change their life and make it possible. They wanted to make it to the big leagues. So that's what happens when Daniel Rodriguez wants to get out to the street and, of course, be a name, a really known name, household name for the whole entire nation of the UFC, because they gotta drop those stars. It's gonna be like really up, because Daniel Rodriguez has a lot of future. Because I'm gonna respect it. I would expect it because Kevin Holland doesn't know how they gotta throw off the volumes coming up there, and I was like really shocking all.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to see D-Wad get a number next to his name. He damn near deserves it. I became a bigger fan last night, Saturday night. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be stopping, and there's always a list of fighters that I tend to follow, and like there's a list of fighters that I kind of just don't even care about. And D-Wad was one of those fighters, like, okay, he's just there for entertainment. But, when I was watching the fight on Saturday, I became a fan. It's not like I was never a fan, but I'm going to start pushing him to the side because, he deserves to be a household name. He deserves to have a number next to his name. This kid is 19-5, definitely streaking. And, in the interview, he's all like, I ran into Max Holloway, and he's like,
Mhm.
Dan Haley and McKinsey asked him what was the highlight of your week, and he's like, I ran into Max Holloway, and Max Holloway said, "Man, you're a big fan. I love watching you fight." And for D-Wad to say, Max Holloway is my favorite fighter, and to see how inspired D-Wad got from that, it makes me think that he finally reached a level in his career where he, you're meant to be, bro. Like you're meant to be in the UFC. And I want like sometimes with these fighters, they lack confidence because of the fact when you go on the losing streak, you start questioning yourself. Like, man, am I even good enough to for the organization? And I think that's what happened to D-Wad. He went on this losing streak and he started questioning himself. And then now be on this winning streak. I want him to show up with that confidence and show up with that confidence. Like, let's be realistic. You're not gonna go out there and you're
Mhm.
not gonna smash on a jack. But you're gonna go out there and you can probably beat the top, some of the top 10 in the division, and maybe eventually you can earn that title shot, whether it's going to be a Islam, whether it's going to be a Ilya, whether it's going to be a Jack, whether it's going to be a Shakarat, whoever's going to be holding that championship belt. But I could easily see Daniel getting great matchups in the welterweight division. I mean, like man, the top five is so stacked. Not to even mention Gary, because Gary's up there too. But definitely, definitely in maybe the like the 10th fighter, the 11th fighter, the 12th fighter, the 13th fighter in the world. I'd love to see him start to climb that level of the top 15, because after what he showed me last night against a performance like against a top prime fighter, like top tier fighter like Kevin Holland, he definitely shows that he definitely belongs. So shout out to D-Wad, man. Here's another one that I get it. A lot of people had Roman, but something just told me to pick Pablo. I thought he was gonna go in there, and I thought it was gonna be vintage Costa. If you guys remember on the Thursday night preview, that's exactly what we got, bro. We got vintage Costa. And what I want to say in this, Raphael, I know I'm blabbering on. I'm gonna give you back the mic in a second. Is people must have forgot how good this guy is, right? You have a former kickboxing at the highest level of the sport coming into the UFC on a massive streak in Roman Kopylov, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna dust Pablo," and honestly, I thought he was gonna too, but you know, I
Mhm.
I love to see Pablo go out there and still show why he's the best in the world. This guy has been. You look at his last 10 fights; it's the who's who of the division. He's only losing to the cream of the crop of the division, and to go out there after the win and to go and I know I keep on bringing up these interviews they do after the fight, but I want to keep it more relevant with what they want next, right? To go out there and to call a Sean Strickland rematch, to call a Robert Whitaker rematch. I think the best one he did say was Izzy. Izzy's on a skit right now, losing two straight, and I think there would be a prime matchup for Pablo to get his rematch. And any one of those fighters, I just want to see the middleweight division win again. Not like the middleweight division is not winning, but I know we have the most excited fight of all time in the middleweight division in a couple of weeks right now. I can't wait for that one. That should be really good. In Shamaya finally getting his title fight. But Pablo was just fun to see Costa do his thing and look like vintage Costa, man. I love vintage Costa, and that's what we need, man. We need someone to step forward. I bought out Taiwan on the other show.
Mhm.
The reason why he lost his momentum is because he stopped moving forward. It's like he won that championship bout and he just stopped engaging. When Costa goes first and when Costa engages, he's a fucking nightmare for anybody on the fucking planet. Go right ahead, Raphael.
Yeah, talking about Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. I mean, everybody thought, because my prediction was really wrong, because I really thought that Roman Kopylov could easily destroy him against Paulo Costa. But after he just lost against Sean Strickland, I was like really impressed. I mean, absolutely chuck him down. I mean, that was like a great body work, and Kopylov is gonna be like really sore, but he really snapped, but he showed his body and he's kind of like the list. I mean, it was very glad to see like the vintage Paulo Costa, because after the first round, he was ability to endure like the body damage is ridiculous, because it's gonna be like really pissed. But that what happens when you choose like the longest shorts that are covered offered. So this is gonna be like really insane. But he looked like he learned all of his mistakes, patient but not very gushy. But he didn't pressure with caution. He was really smart defensively. And he just won in the first fight against the sub like sub 38 since 2017, because they just remind us like this like an old fight like Paulo Costa versus Luke Rock Hall. I remember that was like a weird one, but the strategy, I mean, getting like a lot of this, but that guy, I mean, he wasn't really washed up. I mean, he really needs to get really had to do with the submissions coming up there with his body. And of course, it became like it really happens. It really happens because this something that happens with the Roman Coppola because his body work and of course his cardio, he doesn't like really match it at all because he really most for the knockouts, but somebody is a solid skill for Paulo Costa. He really know it. I mean, hitting him with the body shots like at the Patriot My Seals. I mean, that was like really incredible. But I just saw like between for like the rankings coming up there for the middleweight. And I understand that Paulo Costa is number 13. Now what happens because they got like the next event is gonna be like a Reina Reddy versus Orville Taker. But check this out. I mean that after that he just won, I mean they're gonna be like so realistic. They're gonna put it in at the top 10, perhaps, because he wants to face like the best of the middleweight position. Because I understand that I wanted to face with Jerry Cannonier, Roman Dolidze, Anthony Hernandez is on the list because Jerry Cannonier versus Caio Borralho is going to be like the next one in Paris. But I think that if Paulo Costa deserves like a more because he needs to like to work it enough with his cardio, his clinch, and of course he looked really great. I mean, I know he's really pissed off at the Casimir he was catching straights, but it was like really understandable because that's the best of the Costa look since the Romero fight because that was like really impressive. It was defensive the mind, especially at the first round because he did it first with his kicks in the Roma that was expecting more punches, but Paulo Costa nailed it.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. I would love to see him get on a one last title one. You know what I'm saying? Like you nailed it
Mhm.
on the head. We got the Ritter versus Robert Whitaker next week. This Saturday that should be a fire fight, man. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah.
Um, Ritter coming off that Bo Nickel big time knockout, and then Whitaker coming off of that loss against Shemaya. Should be a fun fight there. Let's just get into the early prelims before we even touch on the main event. That being said, man, this is really the BMF court for a reason. We had a lot of people coming out here and being real motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Being bad motherfuckers. We had Bruno Ferreira going against Jackson, got him out pretty early. Corley looks like the hype is real around her. She was really big as a contender in the division in the women's flyweight. She certainly damn near looks like no, sorry, not a contender. Looks like a big time prospect in the flyweight division. Certainly sealed it. She is a big time prospect. Ryan Span coming out of nowhere, getting the win against Lucas. Ryan Span been on the streak. Kind of really needed this one. Not really been the best in his last five. And I think he was like 4 losses in his last five. Come in, got the big knockout and against the guy he should have knocked out. Morcine, I just don't know what to tell you, man. You just get knocked out I mean, like you didn't get knocked out in this one. He got submitted, but I mean, like, bro, I don't know. You're tough, bro, but sometimes like either you're just putting your head in the wrong situation to get knocked out, or you're getting your fucking arm broken. It's okay to tap, motherfucker. Like you don't have to snap the arm, but Jimmy Crude, 2 draws, 3 losses in his last five to come out there and absolutely dismantle Morcine. Love seeing Andy Islam, man. This is a guy that basically German fans are all over. Big time prospect coming into the UFC. Won his fight against the Contender Series and went out here and delivered another first round knockout. This guy has 12 wins, all wins by knockout. This guy is gonna be a huge story in the UFC. Right
Yep.
now, definitely a big time prospect. We'll see if he'll continue to grow. He definitely has the striking for the sport. Didn't really see too much of the wrestling and too much of the BJJ, but eventually the UFC has the best matchmakers on the planet. They're gonna matchmake him against some wrestlers, and we're gonna see his skill levels, his takedown defense. But as a guy who models for some of the luxury brands in entertainment, damn near had a photo shoot with GQ and fighting an MMA fight on Saturday. That's just fucking amazing. I know he did some shoots for Versace as well, but big time win for Islam. I'm running through this really fast, Raphael. Stop me if you wanna highlight any fight in
Yeah,
particular.
yeah.
Atiba, man, Atiba, definitely people are calling him a young Naganu, a mini Naganu, and boy did he deliver. Robert definitely a championship fighter on the Ultimate Fighter. End up losing to Ryan Loader. Got a couple of losses to some other opponents, but this is probably his biggest. his biggest defeat to date. As much as I love Robert as an entertainer, I just don't think he's UFC caliber. I think UFC actually sends Robert his rocking papers, and maybe we see him in another organization. But big win on Atiba. Francis Prado almost had that armbar against Nikolai, but Nikolai showed his toughness. Francis Prado is a lightweight that came up to the welterweight division, but is severely undersized. I picked Francisco to win the fight. I just thought he was much skill for skill, but obviously Nikolai, that slam, that vintage slam, it reminded me of Rampage Jackson back in the day to slam him when he had that armbar, and that usually doesn't work. But he was able to pick him up with his well being on board, slam him down, and put a win on the mat for Kazakhstan. So shout out to Nikolai. Marvin Vittori, thoughts with his family. I know he did lose his brother this past year, Brandon Allen. I know they had beef, but Brandon Allen striking definitely looked on poor. And obviously Oliveira goes and does his thing against Kyle Phillips. But yeah, so the whole point of the card was a love letter to Dustin Poirier, and we seen some bad motherfuckers throughout the night. But speaking of which, I love to see the veterans, man. I love to see Michael Johnson. I love to see Dan. I love to see Pitbull. I love to see Daniel Rodriguez put in that work and basically say, "Hey, motherfuckers, like we're still here." And that's what I love seeing in that. And Pablo Costa. So if you really look at it, you got Young Gun, you got hyped on a 2-fight win streak, you got knockout Ortiz, and then you got Young Gun, and they all basically got humbled. Michael Johnson, Pitbull, Dan Dewad, and Casca. Shout out to them, which brings us to the main event. Go right ahead, Raphael.
Yeah, then talking about the main event, which is Matt Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, because everyone just wanted to expect it. A lot of this. Because to be honest, right now, the trilogy, I mean, it was like completely incredible. Because couldn't have the time retiring better. Because this is like the first and only time he would just drop it two in a row. Because after Dustin Poirier won against Matt Holloway in two occasions, and it was like the first the only time that he nailed it. He just upset because Dustin up and up with the point to say, I'm retired right now, but he just landed like at a nasty hook. It would just say like 6 punches in the second because I didn't see like the shot that Dustin landed a point down because Matt didn't even move and he just went like, fuck that. He just really clinched it at all. But we are lucky to watch all the fight. Nothing it's nothing was resulting in like a lot of entertainment because this is like for entertainment value. I mean, Matt Holloway has to be like the baddest motherfucker, including Dustin Poirier, because technically the highest output ever, and the second place is not even close. A light chin, hard that carries all the truth of his wars, and not to mention that he fought every single relevant at this weight since he was 19 years old. We should be grateful to get a witness of a legend like Liv, because I was more than excited because we've been seeing like a lot of fights of Dustin Poirier, including one of my favorites, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gage back in 2018 and of course 2023, because it feels like one of those eras is ending because Dustin is living like very a great career, a legendary, because they built enough of the entire the band, like the last one song for Poirier, and you see that Mike getting in the crowd after the mention, everybody was locking it in to see that, and they already know that it's gonna be is because right now both fighters are the baddest motherfucker ever, because that really shaped a whole generation. Because people don't see like they're afraid that the fighters get too popular after the problems they had to cause between for like over the last years because they just want the brand to be bigger. They just want it to be bigger, including the fighters. Because every time they do the see, I know what exactly the fighters were who we are. Because even tonight, because as a fan, we cheer all of the fighters who put the heart and soul. And when I just see like a fighter retire to say, that's my fighter that I grew up, because that feeling was really emotional because there is like a huge difference. Do we come from like the fighters, the fans, and Holloway? It was just like became a great fighter because not only he just won against Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria, and I was just like man, that was like pretty much coming back from being hurt to knock down Max Holloway, never booked the whole fight. I mean, that was like a great career. 6 straight finishes to start the car, 8 straight decisions to end the car. I mean, this is gonna be like a weird night, but the fact is, Dustin Poirier, because he was interim champion, and he never was the champion because he just fought 3 times for that title, but he gave it all. He gave it all because he's one of those, the last guy left in every fight, because having to go with emotional for a long, long time, but he's one of those true violent kings of the MMA history.
Yeah, man, this guy is definitely a stud, definitely a true legend of the sport. I mean, like if you just think about his career, Dustin Poirier's career, you look at his strength of schedule, he really did survive. Like he came in and you got to look at it like 3 different generations of UFC has passed
Mhm.
him. I mean, like when he came in, it was I believe Benson Henderson was dominating at lightweight. Cain Velasquez was dominating at heavyweight. John Jones was on a tear at lightweight. Anderson Silva was still him at middleweight. You know what I'm saying? Cole's Content was him at welterweight. So to come in that time period and then live through and fight through the Conor McGregor and the Ronda Rousey time period, and then live through and now still fighting through the Ilya and these younger, the Jack time period. That's really 3 generations of fighters. We talk about John Jones, how John Jones was able to go and smash on these legends and then smash on these newcomers and then smash on these. But Justin Poirier did the same thing, man. This guy been around since 2011. And look how much the landscape of MMA changed from 2011 to
Mhm.
2025, man. He really is a diamond. And really he did really live up to that nickname, and he will be missed. And I love the fact that the UFC was able to give this love letter to him, because this is someone that meant so much for the sport and definitely a future Hall of Famer. And I just truly believe that he was a lot of fighters' favorite fighter. And when you look on the opposite side of the cage, you got Max Holloway that definitely just looks like a beast at lightweight. I was on YouTube earlier today and I was seeing a lot of fans saying that how does Max Holloway deserve a title shot? I just don't understand how, like, I'm not saying he should get a title shot immediately, but I just don't understand how fans can think like that when you can't take what he did at 145 and compare it to the 155. You got to just look at what he's doing at the 155 division. And what he's doing at the 155 division was he beat the number 2 contender. He knocked him out. Obviously, Justin Gaethje helped him, just swinging wild in the last 10 seconds. But he did beat the number 2 ranked guy at the time. Then he just beat the number 6 ranked guy at the time. So Patty has no wins against the number 1, number 2, the number 6 guy. But Patty's gonna get his title shot because it's Patty and Patty's him. But what I really would want to see happen is I would really want to see Armin get the title shot because he's deserving of that title shot. And I would really want to see Patty fight Max for the number 1 contender shot, because I don't think that's gonna happen. What I think we're gonna get is we might get a Patty versus Islam. We might get a Justin versus uh Orman if they don't feel like sitting. I think Orman wants to sit and just wait. But I think Oliveira is gonna fight Max for the BMF championship. I do think that we should get a BMF rankings in effect. Max Holloway, what did we learn on Saturday? We learned that he definitely hits harder, dropping Destin a couple of times, and he definitely can still take a hit, getting dropped, and almost finished in a late round 2. The place was so loud. New Orleans definitely showed up that the referee didn't even hear the bell. The fight kind of went longer in the round 2, but to take away from this fight, Max Holloway shows that he belongs at lightweight. He's not ever gonna go back to featherweight, and I honestly, if anyone's good at getting rematches, it's Max Holloway. But I truly don't think that Ilya sticks around that much longer to give him a rematch. I think if Ilya beats Orman and maybe he beats Patty, I think Ilya's moving up and he's trying to fight Islam or Jack to become a 3rd-time champion, and that's where we get Max Holloway entered into the title picture. I don't think Max Holloway could fight for the title right now, being how stacked the top of the division 2 is. I believe there's only one person in the division that does deserve a title shot over Max Holloway. Is Orman. It's Orman, definitely. Justin Gaethje, I respect you, but how do you lose against Max Holloway? You win one fight and then you fight for the championship. Don't make no sense to me. Patty, you're ranked number 12. I get it. You're fucking excited. It is the entertainment business, and that's the fight that's probably gonna happen. It is probably gonna be Ilya versus Patty because the blood, and Ilya does have championship say. So Ilya wants to fight Patty. So basically, that's the fight that's probably gonna happen. But boy, would I want to see Armin versus Ilya and Patty versus Max on the same fucking card. Would that be exciting? I'm not trying to push Destin to the side, but I just feel like you got Max coming off of 2 fight win streak in the lightweight division. We got Patty on an amazing streak in the lightweight division, and then we have Orman on the best streak in the lightweight division. So that being said, all I know is that division is stacked, and it's super exciting, man. The welterweight division, the lightweight division, just these middle divisions in the next coming years, man. The middleweight division is just stacked, and it's so fun to talk about these excited fights that's coming up. I The fight went exactly how I thought it was gonna be, man. Destin's a dog. He wasn't gonna go out there and let up. He was gonna go out there and fight through whatever storm Max Holloway threw at him. And Max Holloway, I knew he was gonna look better just off his performance at 300 and him taking the time to really tone himself out to 155, not no cupcake Max no more. A lot of people forget that Max Holloway is one of the best fighters after a loss. And Dustin Poirier never lost 2 in a row, so something had to give. But I just think that with Dustin Poirier, I'm not trying to repeat what I said on Thursday, but with a Brady being 1 foot out of the sport, Max Holloway had too much to lose, and he wasn't going to go out there and not go
Exactly.
0-6. That was not going to happen. But shout out to Dustin Poirier, man. This was really a love letter for him. Love and respect Max for saying what he said and really got out of the ring and let the spotlight be on Destin. And to think, brother, like you really got one of the best rappers in the world to walk you out in your hometown in front of your people, man. Beautifully in your home state, should I say? Lafayette is a couple hours away, but still, to do it in front of the Cajun people, New Orleans, the boot is what they like to call it. Certainly deserved, man. Shout out to Poirier, definitely, and Destin. I don't know, man. I'm not sorry, not Destin, just Justin Gaethje. I don't know what
Just
you do with him
engage.
because the division is so stacked right now that it's like, and if you're retiring, then maybe the UFC will give you a retirement fight. I would love to see a rematch with him and Max because the spinning back kick at the end of round 1 basically broke his nose. So I would love to see a Gaethje again with Max. I would love to see
Oh
Oliveira
yeah.
get his rematch against Max. So I think those are the 2 names right now that I'm throwing out there. Max versus Gaethje again in 2. Max versus Oliveira, both of them for the BMF championship. What I would want to happen, I know I've repeated it fucking 5,000 times, but I just think it's the best situation they have. You take Patty, you fight. Patty fights Max for the BMF, and then Orman fights Ilya. I don't think Orman will take a fight against Max, but I know for sure that Patty will take a fight against Max. I think Orman is championship, but I'm just gonna fucking sit around, and he deserves to do that. I mean, like the guy doesn't need to win a single soul to get a championship fight. But then we have Shakawat. Shakawat's injured right now, but you have Shakawat being the main event, not champion getting injured, dropping down to the co-main event. I mean, like shout out to Shakawat. You know, I always have to get Shakawat's name in it. You know me, I'm a big Shakawat fan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and speaking about like the Max Holloway getting like a rematch against Justin Gage, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was like really interesting because what I just saw, like between for like the fight coming up there, it was like the UFC 300, the symbolic UFC MBF belt. That was just like really amazing to see how those fighters it became so much important. But between for like Justin Gage getting a rematch between for like after after we see for like Max Holloway, I mean, I don't know, man, because it seems like someone had to deny it for the title shot, but it will just like really earlier. But I don't think it's gonna be like a really power because I understand that Justin Gage, and of course for the whole division, they got a lot of power because some people they using their smart and of course their knowledge, the IQ. I mean, when you see like at the Costa with the punches with his mouth, because that's the way to describe it. I mean, that's mechanics. And you know, the Justin Gates has mechanics. Also, Max Holloway has
Can I ask you a
mechanics.
question? Do you feel like I think there's only one person in the division that's valid of a title shot without another fight, and I honestly think If you go look at the lightweight, that's gonna be Arman Sarukian, right? I think Arman
Yeah.
is and take Islam out of the fucking rankings. He's no longer in the division. What are we doing here? So Arman is a true number one contender. And I honestly think that Orman's the only person that shouldn't fight again. He should automatically get the title shot based on what he did. I think when you look at Justin Gaethje, when you look at Max Holloway, when you look at Patty, when you look at these three fighters, I honestly can say each one of them is one should be one fight away. I think Justin Gaethje should fight one more time and win before he gets a championship fight. I think Max Holloway, as much as Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier is a good back to back, you still need one more. You still need one more to fight for that championship. And I think Paddy Piplin still needs one more to fight for the championship. I honestly think that Paddy Piplin beating Michael Chandler will get him that, the UFC will probably give him that championship based on Joe Rogan already bringing him into the octagon. The fans already loving that matchup against Ilya. But if you think about Ilya is probably going to retire. He probably has like 4 to 5 fights left. This guy's not going to stick around for a long time. So I think Ilya fights 2 more times max. 2 more times max in the lightweight division before he goes up to the welterweight division. And when you think about who's those two fights, is it gonna be a Armin? Is it gonna be a Patty? So that's why I'm saying, like, I think all three of them is. I know I asked the question and I keep on going, but do you feel that those three that I mentioned is really one fight away from a title shot?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because when you see look at all of those rankings, and they've definitely had the hardest
I
hitter
could see that.
that ever the Habs. Because coming from someone that fought basically like the best of the lightweight division, that means like a lot. Because Charles withdrawal with Gar, Poirier, Chandler, that's very impressive. Because if Haley hits harder than anyone, all of them, they're gonna be like a really shocking at all. Because it's so weird that instead of like Topuria's power were transferred for lightweight, like he just cracked the most legendary chin in the history of the sport, something like Justin Gage and Dustin Poirier couldn't do because he was able to knock out Charles. But can you tell because the knockdowns they're not very kind of weird because Oliveira was so good enough to get really smarter to follow with his back at the cover where the feet is rock because he just won Ilya was just won 7 fights by submission. The variety like fight different submissions. Since in the first round, the person like 16 minutes total fight. And of course, where you decided he wasn't going like to give it the people the opportunity to tap out before going to sleep. There's 2 decisions, 1 submission for the next 11 fights, because he just like a very small frame undersized against everyone, but he has like to be like a knockout killer and he find like a demon power to switch off and how it's gonna make it really sense because probably he's good form getter like the body retaining into the shots. He looks like the pro bots of fighting MMA strikers because most kicking boxing guys kickboxing they're doing like the arm punches. And what I just saw for like over the rankings that I just really to give everything. I mean, what I just looking for the light heavyweight, I just looking for the middleweight, and we just see for the like welterweight, lightweight. I mean, if there is like a lot of things to have to do with that division because I understand that Yolita Poirier is the champion, but right now the number one and number two is gonna have to the line because Yolita Poirier he needs to fight against Islam or Arman Takarian. I mean, they both had to go to the say, I'm the first of the line, but Islam and Arman, I mean, this is gonna be like a really, really tough decision enough for this one. But I understand he's the bigger favorite. I mean, for Ilya, because whoever takes it, like Islam Makhachev, because he's just open for like a 4-1 favorite against. I mean, interesting how the odds gonna shift because he didn't exactly like the blow doves all for you because he just will like possess a similar scat on boxing in the standing up, but I just see like a between for like Islam Makhachev coming up there because he realized that his wrestling style is undeniable. But the Poirier's boxing style, I mean, he becomes so realistic. But they're going to put out a master class. But I genuinely believe they should be like at a pick him because I wish it had this call how the strength is going to be really fair about for like the strange. But I know that those counter straights was going to landed a lot of strikes. But I think it's gonna be like the most difficult test. It's gonna be like a well-rounded with dynamite hands, but it's gonna be like a really explosive. So I really think that Islam Makhachev should fight against Dustin Poirier because this is like the classic battle between a wrestler versus a boxer.
I mean, like, yeah, I can't wait for that fight. And you just think about the fights that we have
Mhm.
coming up, right? We have Shemaya versus DPP. You look at the welterweight division. We have Jack versus Islam. That's probably gonna happen in October at
Yep.
Madison Square Garden. You have Sean Brady in the rankings coming up. You got Shakur out in the rings waiting for a title shot, recovering from his injury. You look at the middleweight division. We just talked about Shemaya. You has Imorov that's right there that just came off with a second round knockout against Izzy. I mean, like the divisions are so stacked right now. And not to mention the lightweight division. You go down to the featherweight division. You got Morzor is still undefeated, just got hurt, so it's probably gonna be sidelining for a little bit. But you got an undefeated Leon
Exactly.
Murphy that's moving up the ranks. Where is what division is Morales is? I don't think Morales is ranked yet, but Morales is one of those undefeated fighters that's coming up. That's coming up in the divisions as well. I mean, like it's just such a super excited time to just be an MMA fighter. So much great fights. And one thing that I want to mention before we get out of here too
Hmm.
is even Dan Hooker. I mean, like Dan Hooker, that would be an exciting fight. You know, you got Dan Hooker maybe versus Max Holloway for the BMF championship. Dan Hooker is definitely a BMF champion. Definitely a BMF fighter, should I say? Not champion, but definitely a fighter. And I just feel like if you're Max Holloway, you have a loss against Ilya. I think Ilya's thinking right now is not about you. I think he's on to better things, like defending against a Patty, or defending against Orman, and then going up and fighting at Islam. I just think it's really hard, Max Holloway, for you to get a rematch right now. I don't think Ilya is one of those fighters to give rematches. I think Ilya, he's gonna look at that, and the only thing he's probably gonna want the rematch for is to get the BMF. But I just think right now Max Holloway should just look at defending the BMF. Look at defending it against Dan Hooker. Look at defending it against Charles Oliveira. Look at defending it against giving Justin Gaethje a rematch. There's Money McConnell right there in the rankings too. There's Michael Chandler right there in the rankings. There's so much people in that rankings, and now if Max is gonna defend that title, the lightweight division has two championships. You know what I'm saying? Technically, we all want gold. There's only one championship, but now if there's two championships in the sport, it really gives the most stacked division in the sport these fighters to go out there and fight for another championship. And it's almost as if like Max Holloway on Saturday night put some respect on that title again. Everybody was kind of looking at that title like a goofy title, like oh that's a sideshow. And I kind of feel like Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier 3 made it feel not like a sideshow. And there's a lot of fighters that want to come up and fight for that championship now. So I think if Dustin Poirier was to win, you should have retired it. But I think the BMF belt is here to stay, and I honestly won't be surprised if coming tomorrow we see a BMF rankings on here right next to Kayla Harrison, right here, a BMF ranking list. With that being said, though, I'm gonna
Mm.
pass it over to Raphael. Great show. We almost damn near made it an hour. If you guys do like these recap shows, definitely leave a comment. Let us know if you guys do like. I know we do a lot of previews, but we just wanted to come back and do some recaps. So you guys will get multiple shows per week. Appreciate you guys being here, chat. Just wanted to say that before I give up the mic. Go right ahead, Raphael. Let's end it up.
All right, so thank you very much to joining us for this episode of the Combat Club. Thank you, Head Stepper Douglas and Memo,
Absolutely.
Asmo Formula. Also, we got the Hunter 55. Thank you very much. And of course, I just wanted to tell you, it's been like a great episode to be here to talk about the rankings and the UFC 318 because next week, which is going to be on Saturday, they have an amazing fight, which is Rainier Derritier versus Robert Whittaker in Abu Dhabi. And then in August, which is on my birthday month, they have Kasma Chiame versus Dricus Duplessis for the gold. For the gold belt that all been waiting for in the city of Chicago. So thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe to Capitan Rafucho and my co-host Zion Senit on YouTube and of course on Kick. So I just wanted to tell you, thank you very much. So right now we just wanted to say happy Monday, happy Tuesday, and of course, I just wanted to tell you, salute to everybody else, and thank you very much to join us at the Combat Club because in this club we're born to fight anytime, anywhere, anytime. So Peace out and let's get it.